everybody, welcome to Lift Big. My name is Ashim. Today's topic of discussion is touch and go deadlifts versus full dead stop deadlifts. We've all seen videos of these guys with 600, 700 pounds doing deadlifts for multiple reps with weights very close to their maximal strength, and they're bouncing the weights off the floor. That action, bouncing the weights off the floor, that's a touch and go deadlift. And I'm very much so against touch and go deadlifts. When you're doing touch and go deadlifts, you're opening yourself up to certain injuries, because you're doing this movement with weights very close to your max and you're doing it in a rush. So whenever you're doing something in haste and your focus is not on performing the deadlift but it's on getting as many reps done, if you're focusing on that, you're going to be it just takes a small amount of the bar might move a little bit to the left or the right by an inch. While bouncing the weights, one side of the bar might bounce unevenly. It just takes something small like that and you're going to end up hurting yourself. So I know with heavy weights, when we lift heavy weights, when we lift the kinds of weights that we do, I know that we're opening ourselves up to injury in any case. That threat, that risk is always there. But I think by doing touch and go deadlifts, you're increasing that likelihood of getting hurt. So I'm against them for that reason. Another reason why I'm against them is because I believe that when you're doing deadlifts, for example, just doing 350 pounds for 7 dead stop reps, that's going to take you a lot further than doing 350 for 7 reps, bouncing them off the floor. And I'm not talking about where you have to formally time your rest between deadlift reps. I think that if you just put the bar down, by the time you put the bar down, when you finish your rep, when you put the bar down, you exhale a little, you inhale a little, you brace your core, you get ready to lift again. I think this much, all these small things that you're going to do, this is enough of a pause between deadlift reps to make sure that each rep is from a complete dead stop. The weight is dead on the floor, that's why it's called a deadlift. So I'm very much against touch and go deadlifts from an injury perspective. I'm also against them because I think in terms of progress, in terms of getting maximal strength, in terms of adding weight to your 1 rep max, I don't think that they're going to be doing justice to that. And there's another reason for it, and this may not apply to everybody, which is why I'm talking about it last. And a lot of you may even disagree, and a lot of you may not have even ever experienced something like this. But most of us, I think, work out at commercial gyms. There aren't as many powerlifting gyms as they should be where it's okay to lift heavy weights. Most commercial gyms don't want you to lift heavy weights. They don't want that sort of clientele that's going to come in, deadlift 500, 600 pounds, even 400 pounds. They don't want people like that. So when this type of preconceived notion exists that guys who lift heavy weights are bad for the gym, guys who lift heavy weights cause destruction in the gym of property, when this preconceived notion already exists, and then you show up and you start doing touch and go deadlifts where you're banging heavy weights on the floor, you're kind of perpetuating that myth that exists that we're a bunch of Neanderthals. Although some of us like to be Neanderthals, but you guys get my point. While every single strength coach right now is talking about how the sport of powerlifting is growing, and I'm sure that more and more people are turning up at powerlifting and strongman meets, and strength training is becoming more and more popular. I get all of that, but commercial gyms, they don't want people like that. So this is just something to keep in mind, and like I said, this may not apply to everybody. So I'll just summarize once again. Touch and go deadlifts should not be done because they open you up to certain injuries, and if you just approach each rep as its own, and if you're able to do 7 dead stop reps on or I'm just pulling 7 out of thin air, you could do whatever. If you're going to be deadlifting 350 pounds for 7 reps, then 7 reps done in a dead stop fashion, that will take you much further in terms of your maximal strength than bouncing 350 off the floor 7 times. So just think about that.